Spectrum TV.
Hello, welcome to Eyes on Issues, the program that seeks to educate, enlighten, and of course, bring you up to speed with happenings and issues all around Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria, Africa, and the world as a global village. Now, we know as long as you and I are concerned, as long as we live in this world, there will always be issues, from personals, from issues in governance, to issues that has to do with the organized private sector, to the economy, to the health sector, to the agricultural sector, all around, all of these issues will be given light on Eyes on Issues to bring you up to speed with the latest developments and happenings. My name is Frank Cizadet, and I'm excited to welcome you to Eyes on Issues on Spectrum TV. And you can connect us on channel 136 on the start times, and of course on our socials at spectrumtv.ng, and also on our WhatsApp line on 0704 541-7707 to be part of our conversations. Today on Eyes on Issues, we'll be having very serious conversations with the CLO chairman in Akwa Ibom State, talking about Otuekong Franklin Isong, who is a journalist, a civil rights activist, amongst other things in the society. Hello and welcome to Eyes on Issues.
Thank you so much, Francis. Good to be here.
All right, thank you very much. I'm so excited to have you. Well, the issue of the rights of Akwa Ibom people, the issues of the rights of Akwa Ibom or Nigerians has been one of the things that a lot of people have oftentimes had debates on. Presently, there are a lot of burning issues talking about the court contempt by the federal government between the federal government's case and the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOP. Recall not too long ago, we also had a similar case with the federal government and ASU, and in the former, ASU was made to obey the court order. We're still watching to see whether the federal government will also, obey the court order. But we know oftentimes, historically, that the federal government have oftentimes been found wanting when it comes to contempt of court. But that's not the issue for today, in as much as it can come in within the course of our discussion. But let me kickstart this way. Civil Liberty Organization, CLO. I understand it was established a long time ago, in 1963 or thereabout, if I got that correct. What informed the establishment of CLO?
We came as a child of circumstance because we were operating a military dictatorship, military junta. We had military administrators that, do things without recourse to the rule of law. There was no democratic governance in the country. And so the people of Nigeria needed a platform to advocate for democracy to be entrenched in the country. Nigerians who are progressive needed a platform to be able to tell the government, the military government, that there is need for democratic governance to be allowed to be in place. And we also needed a platform to be able to tell the international community of how the country is run, our rights being abused, the courts not allowed to function, the parliament was abrogated. We only have the Supreme Military Council, where the head of state and commander-in-chief of armed forces sits with his generals to make laws, call decrees, and then make fiat, and before you know it, people are being arrested on the streets without recourse to law. They will just set up a panel of inquiry to try a person. They will set up a panel of inquiry to get someone hooked up and you are sentenced, and all these things are happening. And we needed to be able to tell the government, the military government, that as a country within the Committee of Nations that is operating under the law, rule of law, and a country that was colonized by the British, colonial masters, that the ideal thing The ideal way to govern a people, a society, is to allow the people to have freedom of expression. It's allow the people to be able to ventilate their own opinion and to encourage people to be able to hold their own opinion and say what is in their mind. And then the court is there. If anyone is found wanting, if anyone commits any crime, the person should be tried in the court of law, not the military tribunal, not not by fiat and not by being shoot aside, recurring to jungle justice and all that. So that is what gave rise to the Civil Liberties Organization being formed. And since its formation, we've passed through military trials, military juntas, we've been attacked, we've been arrested, we've been maimed, our colleagues have been killed. Some even died in the course of protests. I remember Chima Obane, one of our leaders who led a protest to Yola. On his way back, left his family and his children. On his way back, the car was into an accident. He died. We've lost so many of us, some of our colleagues, in the course of the struggle to getting a democratic governance in place and to getting the rule of law being implemented and to getting the good governance in the country. So the Civil Liberties Organization was formed basically to be able to tell the government, you are not supposed to do this, you are supposed to do this, somebody's right is infringed upon the security agencies, you are harassing someone, you're not. So we try to ensure that the rule of law enforced in line with what we have in our status books.
Important to know that ignorance is not an excuse, and as an Akwa Ibom person, as a Nigerian, ignorance of the laws as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is not an excuse to your rights being infringed upon, because even the law enforcement officers are trained to know the laws and what concerns the citizens. Now, I understand since 1987, that's about 35 years in existence. One would ask, I recall the first encounter we had, it came to you because of a case that, surfaced in Akwa Ibom, talking about the violation of a lawyer who was allegedly arrested for contempt of court, and it generated a lot of reactions in Akwa Ibom, talking about Barrister Nyibe Effiong. I was tempted to come to you because a lot of debate was surrounding that question. So let us know, if as an Akwa Ibom person, if as a Nigerian, I have a case that I need the Civil Liberty Organization to handle, do you just see a case and jump on it, or is there a procedure, is there an avenue through which Akwa Ibom people, Nigerians, Africans can reach out to Civil Liberty Organization to have their cases handled by the agency?
In Akwa Ibom State Branch, we have about 43 lawyers as members of CLO. We have journalists, I'm a journalist, we have medical doctors, we have public servants, we have pastors and reverend father, members of CLO, because it got across board. We operate with a very strict procedure. We do not jump on cases. We are like medical doctor. A patient that has a illness will come to the clinic, fill a form, state his case. The doctors will now diagnose and then give prescription. That is how we operate. When you have a case, you petition us, come to us, make your case. We look at it. Our lawyers will sit. We have a panel. We have a committee on public petition and human rights violation. They will sit on it. Over 7 lawyers will sit and examine your case and treat it on merit. Otherwise, we will be very busy doing nothing. You have so many cases that are in the on social media. There are cases, but when you go deep down to investigate, there are no cases. So what we do is we will not jump on media reports or jump on social media report or whatever. We wait until when we are petitioned. We invite you to come before us to affirm what you have written, because we've had a case where someone write us a petition, we took up the matter, and in the course of pursuing the case, the person went behind and was offered some amount of money, and he withdrew from the case without getting back to us. While we are still pursuing the case, he went and said he didn't send us, and we are like left in between. And then we're like, but you came to us. The question is that he has withdrawn. He has withdrawn. He is a person, but we are an institution, so we don't need to. So the joining issues with him is like going. So we just had to we now had to deal with the fact that he has withdrawn because he is the key witness in the matter, and he has withdrawn.
Him, you cannot
you can't.
continue.
That's it, and you are stuck. You are stuck midway. So he has used your involvement, your influence, financial benefit. That's it. So that is why when we have cases like that, when they come to us, the panel of the committee will sit, examine your case, and even do what we call fact finding. We embark on fact finding. If you allege that an institution, a government agency, or have done this, that we mention names in your petitions, we'll get their contact, meet with them, hear from them, visit the scene, visit this, come out with our own independent position. That will now inform us whether you have a case for us to pursue or not. Otherwise, we will just be jumping our petition, and then we'll go out there and make a noise. Before you know it, you are being attacked. You are being, tagged to be pursuing baseless cases. So any case you see us, pursue, we always pursue to its logical conclusion because we always have the fact before us. So we don't just jump on issues because we've seen what the public is saying. We also jump. So very rare you see us issue statements, for instance, because we must also be backed up with facts. Because other persons can talk, but when we talk, it's weightier than other groups. Because like you have said, we have been there over 30-something years fighting for rights. And so if we jump on cases and begin to issue statements that are baseless, you will be ridiculing the body.
That's a very, very truthful. Let me come from this angle again. Yes, we know that fact finding is very critical. But then one of the questions I know, I guess, will be audience, the viewer will be wondering or pondering right about now is, yes, I have an issue. Yes, I've applied to CLO. But in the terms of the financial model to pursue the case, I do not have it. So how do you fund cases that are brought to you? Do you need the individual who brought those cases, or does CLO have a mechanism that funds your cases? I know you've mentioned that you have professionals across board, or do they handle these cases pro bono?
Yeah, of course, you've answered it. The essence of CLO is non-profit making organization. You're not supposed to make profit from it. That's why I said I'm a journalist. I'm not eating from CLOs, from whatever comes from CLO. Our lawyers are all engaged. They are in court now. Doctors are in their clinic. The pastors are in their churches doing their business. So we are all involved in our various businesses. It's not that something that you come in like a business that you know to make money from it. No, okay. Instead you are spending your money to fight for human rights. And so we don't make profit out of it. When we have cases, especially from the indigent member of the society, those who don't have the means to fight for their rights, when they bring their cases to us, our lawyers tackle such cases on pro bono basis. We have several of such cases. The Renal Bible's church collapsed. When the government put up a panel of inquiry, our lawyers were in the court defending those who don't have the resources to have lawyers. The recent one was the NSAS panel of inquiry that the government put up. The persons who had issues with police brutality and the rest came to us with their matters. Our lawyers were in court defending them in panel, defending them, making cases, asking that they be given their right and their compensation and the rest. And we've had several of such other cases that we've handled on pro bono. Some of the cases are just cases that can be trashed. Like, for instance, a particular one that touched our heart was the former chairman of I think Motor Tax Force Itam. Tax Force.
Okay, that's here in Akwa Ibom.
Akwa Ibom State, yeah. At Itam, that was killed because of the challenge that they had disagreement with a particular police officer. We were told that the policeman, was using his vehicle to do loading at Itam axis, and then the task force team set up by the Ministry of Transport had to apprehend the vehicle because the order was that you have to load from the park. Don't just do this illegal touting on the road. So they arrested the vehicle. The man was on mufti, using the vehicle to carry out the operation. So they arrested him, took the vehicle to park. Instead of him resolving the matter, because he's a police officer, he went to his base. He was attached to Julius Berger, close to somewhere along that Itam Park. He now went there, meet his colleagues, and they went on a reprisal. They went on attack. Instead of trying to dialogue, they went, and then there was argument, fight, ensued. The task force chairman was killed in the process. So we got involved. The task force members now went on reprisal attack, begin to demolish and destroy vehicles of Julius Berger, and that caused like almost a chaotic, issue in that area of Itam. And then the policemen had to mobilize, and the area they arrested persons, they arrested the task force members. About 4 of them were arrested subsequently and detained at the police headquarters. So the Ministry of Transport tried to get the persons out from the police custody. They could not. The Commissioner for Justice, Attorney General then, Pastor Uwedimo Nwoko, tried to get the persons arrested out. They could not. They now had to write to us. The Minister of Transport then was under Omanesin, had to write to the CLO asking that we should intervene to get the persons out from police custody. And so when you now wrote to us, it's now state its own case. So what we did now was to do a fact finding to be able to unravel what happened and where we can now come in. At that point, we went to meet with the ITAM, with the park task force members, spoke with them. We went to Julius Berger, spoke with the management, met with them. They showed us pictures and what their own claims were. We now went to the family of the deceased, the man that was killed, met with the family. He had about 7 children also, met with them, meet the children. She spoke to us. The family came out, spoke with us. We now went to the Ministry of Transport that petitioned us. Then we now met with the commissioner. He spoke to us, gave us his own side of the story. We now went to the police commissioner and then asking what happened. So the policeman that committed that offense was brought out from cell for us to now see. Then the 4 men that were arrested were released to us to go on bail. Then the policeman that committed the incident was put behind bars. So that is how we went. And then the autopsy was to be conducted. While we were pursuing the matter, the family member, decided to go on a dialogue. They said that they want to dialogue with Berger and said they went behind and got it resolved. So we've done our part. Because at that point, the family have agreed that they needed to go on a dialogue. So we've been able to push it to the point that we got those persons that were arrested, released, ensure that the police now know that CLO was involved in the matter, and so they were now following the matter the way it ought to be done. So that is how CLO operates.
All right. It's very informative and very enlightening to know that cases of civil challenges or issues that borders on our rights being infringed upon as a people can actually be addressed without necessarily having to spend a dime. But in case you just joined us, this is Eyes on Issue on Spectrum TV. You can view us on Star Times 136, that's the channel. And you can also connect us on our socials at spectrumtv.ng to be part of our conversation. And we're talking about civil liberty organizations in Nigeria, politics and the rights of the people. That is, of course, the topic we're taking for Eyes on Issues, coming to you live on the stables of Spectrum TV. And yes, we are speaking with Otuekong Franklin Isong, who is the chairman of the Civil Liberty Organization in Akwa Ibom State, and is also, amongst other things, a journalist and a publisher. Let me come back to you, Otuekong, at this point in time. Yes, you've given us analysis of the different issues that civil liberty organizations have handled. Let's look more into the different human rights violations. Yes, we know that the law enforcement officials, the law enforcement officers, they are trained to understand the rights of the Nigerian people as enshrined in the Constitution. But oftentimes we do see police officers, we see members of the armed forces, we see even government officials flouting this order. What is the role of CLO, and how do you engage this security agencies and government officials when it comes to holding them accountable to also ensuring that the rights of the people are given to them?
We engage with the authorities, the hierarchy of the police, the hierarchy of the Army, Navy, NSCDC, and the rest. We do not engage with the officers on the street because those ones are they are responsible to someone up there. For instance, if I'm passing, I'm driving through, I see a police checkpoint, I stop. I conduct myself properly. I do not tell you I'm this, I'm that, because I also want to see the way they treat the other person. But if you stop at a checkpoint and you are, you react this way, do you know who I am? You provoke the policeman who is on the street. He doesn't, at that point, he doesn't know who you are. He is sent on duty by his boss. Except you are his boss, then he listens to you. And he does his job in the way he thinks is right. Most times they go out of their way. On several occasions, it has happened. Several occasions on the road, on the street. My wife was arrested, for instance, over tinted permit. My car is because of my sight, medical condition. So my wife was arrested. She also had a similar condition. And the policemen said they came from Zone 6, that's Calabar. And they were taking my wife and the vehicle. And
from Uyo
to Calabar. And she was just about entering shelter to go and carry my kids who are in the school, about closing. In fact, they've closed. Waiting for her to come and carry them from school at about 2 p.m. She was just driving to go and pick them at shelter. They stopped her, took her along that shelter point, and asked that she should provide the tinted permit. She brought it up. She showed them. They said that it must have medical report because it's not a factory fitted tinted permit. And at that point, my wife told them, I have a condition.
You've given the permit.
The permit
so
is there.
What is your duty with the medical doctor's report?
If you think that the permit needed medical report, you would have said it at the point. The police said, okay, this particular vehicle doesn't need permit because, it's not a factory fitted permit. But if you must tint it, you must have a medical report so that you have a condition. At that point of getting the tinted permit, it wasn't explained. So my wife was like surprised. So she was polite with them, but they were very, harsh with her, but she clearly they were like harassing her. So she couldn't control the way the incident was. So she cleared the vehicle and came down from the vehicle. They took the key from her. She was just watching them. She now put a call across to me. And I'm like surprised. Have you showed them everything? They said yes. Say that from Zone 3, they want to carry her to Okobo. From Okobo, they will drive through to take the vehicle to Calabar. And I'm like, wow, this is in Uyo, Akwa Ibom. Why not take her to shelter division? If you thought that the vehicle is stolen, take her to shelter. For shelter, they will not carry her to Ikoma, which is the headquarters of the police. But the policemen were even at the background of the call. I was hearing them harassing, shouting at her. So I said, okay, don't worry, I can't handle this. Let me, since I was far from you, I was naked. Let me talk to someone who can speak the language that they will understand. So I ended the call and I called the CP. Then it was CP Anyegeme Andrew in Akwa Ibom. Later I called him, he picked the call. I told him he said like, why? He just asked me why. He ended the call. The next day again, he called back. He now said I should send my wife number to him. So I did that. So he called my wife. My wife was like surprised because when the call came, the true caller showed that identified that he's the CP Anyegeme Andrew. He now said, can I talk with the men? So she took the phone, went to them. They were shouting at her. I said, man, move. We can't talk to anybody. And he was hearing them harassing her, even with the call. The line was on. So finally, when their team leader finally picked the call, they were surprised that it was the CP. So you can imagine that a policeman on the street, you don't know who is calling, wants to speak to you. You don't even want to care. You are just shouting and harassing. Assuming it wasn't the CP, what would have happened to my wife? So at that point, the CP was like, what is happening? They said they are from Zone 6, the tinted permit. He said, my friend, tinted permit that the IG has, said it is not an issue again. And even at that, must you harass the woman? And you don't have shelter division close to you there? Why are you saying you are taking her to this thing? He now said, okay, all of you, move down to police headquarters and meet with me for an interview. Come and interview me. That was how they were like. Immediately he dropped the call. My wife was let go. The team from shelter had to apprehend those policemen, took them to shelter. From shelter, they now moved them to the police headquarters. They interviewed the CP. That is how it was. So why this is happening? Now, assuming it wasn't the CP, you can imagine what would have happened. So you can imagine the way some policemen behave on the street. Several of such instances, a lot of them have happened along the Ogoni Axis Road, where you have over 23 police checkpoints lined up from Akwa Ibom down to Eleme Junction. You have police checkpoint. I always observe the way they behave and I take record of it. And when I engage the authority, I will spot it. And this is how they operate. This is how they operate. And I believe that those things go a long way to assist in the way the police operations are carried out. Now, a particular one, again, I want to also bring up is, apart from us engaging the police authority, the police also engage the CLO.
All right. Let me pause you there. I had to allow you finish
Yes.
that line of thought, because I know that oftentimes my late dad was a military before, from the police to the military, and I know in my family I have police officials and I have close ties with police officers. But oftentimes I know that some overzealous police officers, even when they know the truth, would oftentimes go their extra way as a means of extorting money from you. But we'll come back. We'll take a quick break right about now. When we come back, we'll be dealing on the issue of how the police engages CLO in their move to ensure that we have a safer society. Okay, you're still tuned to Eyes on Issues on Spectrum TV, channel 136 on Star Times. And of course, it's about bringing you information about the different issues surrounding you and I as we move to join our hands collectively to build a saner and safer society. We'll be right back after this break. Do stay with us.
Nigeria, like other countries of the world, is a country ravaged by different human rights issues. It has been established that we are a democratic society. Some actions and inactions from the federal government, agents of government, and top government functionaries, members of the armed forces whose attitude shows gross disrespect for the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which they swore to protect, poses the question as to whether we are truly a democratic society. The question of where lies the hope of the common man is one that requires serious attention, especially where contempt of court by the federal government has become a trend, and the court, which should be the hope of the common man, is rendered ineffective, unfruitful, and unsuccessful by the actions and inactions of state actors, as well as the elite. Presently, the issue of ASU and the federal government's court case, as well as the federal government versus Nnamdi Kanu, the separatist leader of the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, is one that Nigerians and the world is watching to see the end of the court sessions, especially with the federal government's refusal to release Kanu as was ordered by the court under the guise of him being a national threat, as compared to when the federal government had forced ASU to reopen the institutions while waiting to appeal the court case. While we commend the leadership of the police and other armed forces for the great job they are doing with respect to safeguarding our lives and properties and protecting their territorial sovereignty, we also reference particularly the sensitization currently ongoing by the Inspector General of Police to sensitize the Nigerian police force and rid it of some criminal or bad elements. Truth remains that the common man still needs help in the face of violations of his or her human rights as enshrined in the Constitution, especially where agents of governments and elite, as well as people who seek to intentionally use available power and authority to victimize others, are involved. From the military era to today's government, which is described by many as a civil rule or democracy, the tax before civil liberty organization (CLO) cannot be overemphasized. This is because CLO provides legal aids in cases involving gross abuse or violations of human rights and conducts research on human rights issues, including conditions in Nigerian prisons and police. It also mounts campaigns to expose governmental abuses and seeks to draw government's attention to these abuses with a view of righting the wrongs in the overall interest of the common man and the growth of the Nigerian society. Established in October 1987, the Civil Liberty Organization, which is a right group, has been involved in the fight for the right of the people. While we appreciate their sacrifices and efforts and contributions towards ensuring that our rights and privileges as Nigerians, as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic, is respected by the state actors and non-state actors alike, we hope that Nigeria, the government, and our institutions will get to a point where no government and person is stronger and more powerful than the institutions.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian.
From issues on politics,
Hello, Nigeria. I remain committed.
Security.
Education, health,
Lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken
every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Much welcome back. This is Eyes on Issues on Spectrum TV, and we have on set the chairman Civil Liberty Organization in Akwa Ibom State, Otuekon Franklin Isong. Before we went on that break, we were talking about the issue of police harassment and how the Civil Liberty Organization engages different government agencies to ensure that your rights, my rights, are guaranteed as enshrined in the constitutions of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But welcoming you back, don't forget that you can connect us on our socials at spectrumtv.ng, and you can also join us on a phone line via WhatsApp conversation only on 0704 541 7707. And of course, that will be giving us contributions on how you feel about the topic. And we are handling civil liberty organizations in Nigeria, politics, and the rights of the Nigerian people. Before we went on that break, Otueko, we talked about how civil liberty organization engages the government agencies. Now, let's talk about how the government agencies engages civil liberty organizations in their bid to also serve the Nigerian people.
Yeah, I think I will bring up practical cases to be able to explain, because I have gathered so much experiences in the course of my advocacies. Let me bring a practical experience on how the police engages CLO. Sometime in 2018, leading to 2019 election, the House of Assembly Speaker, declared 5 seats vacant in the House of Assembly, and there was crisis in the House of Assembly. The 5 members went back, and one of them was declared Speaker. Amongst them, that is the Right Honorable Nsentwen, was declared Speaker, and there was a very strong, crisis in all that engulfed the state. The governor had to lead a team to go.
Yes, I recall seeing that there were a lot of media
issues, and so. And the governor, particularly accused the police of taking side, and all that happened. And the CLO came up to take a stand. We made a press conference and advised the state, advised the security agencies, advised the police and the DSS and the government and assembly members on what should be done. Shortly after that, the commissioner of police, immediately summoned a meeting of stakeholders, invited CLO, invited the warring factions, the House of Assembly Speaker, those who were removed, the PDP, the APC, the DSS, were all in that meeting. The first meeting was held, and then we advised generally. Our position was that status quo ante bellum be maintained. That is to say, the Assembly should return back to where you have 26 House of Assembly members, with the Speaker that was on seat, not the one that declared himself. Right Honorable Olufsen should be the speaker, and that for now, until see the matter was already before the court of law. Now what happened was that the picture was that the speaker, these members defected from the PDP to APC, and they went to court asking the Federal High Court to restrain the speaker and the assembly for declaring their seat vacant. And the court papers were served on the speaker and the assembly. The speaker and the assembly joined issues in the court, replying the matter in court, and the date was fixed for hearing. But before the hearing came up, the speaker sat and declared the seat vacant,
which was in contempt of the court.
So at that point, the House said that it was right. The 5 lawmakers said it was wrong, and then the police now was like, what do we do? Police went to the place and stopped the cities from holding, and the budget of the state was before the assembly to sit to decide the issue of the budget, and so there was confusion in the state. The 5 lawmakers sat and pronounced somebody speaker. So we were like, what do we do? So we now came up. Our lawyers went through, because we are non-partisan, and said, since the matter was before the court of law, parties have already submitted their sovereignty to the court. Now it was then for the court to now make a pronouncement that it was wrong for the House to go ahead to declare the seat vacant. That for us, it amounted to self-help. That status quo ante bello be maintained, where the action of the speaker be set aside, then the 26 members continue to sit until the court makes pronouncement. And that's what we advised in that stakeholders meeting. But the parties were not comfortable with it. The police lawyer advised, the DSS lawyer advised, and the rest. The meeting was adjourned for a further date. Before the further date was, we agreed that no sitting should take place until we meet again. But before the next meeting will take place, the House Committee on Appropriation, led by Usura Panso, went and sat. These members said that they are part of the committee. They also went to go and join. They were stopped. So there was another confusion again in the state. So the police CP engaged us again. We now had another meeting. Then in the second meeting, the police, the DSS now said, CLO, you are neutral. You are not in PDP or APC. You are speaking as a neutral body. Take up the case, go and call a meeting. Go and call a meeting. We, the police, will come to the meeting, invite us, invite DSS, invite the party, PDP, APC, and all the stakeholders to the meeting. Then we will now come there. Whatever is the outcome of the meeting, we will be abiding on that. So we took out that task, called a meeting, invite the assembly, invite the lawmakers that were affected, the police, the DSS, to the meeting, and then we had a meeting and came up with a position that now helped the state, and today we have peace. That is how they also engage us. We as well as we engaging them. Now, CLO, our duty haven't achieved what we were set out for. Don't forget, I told you at the opening that we are set out with the purpose of fighting the military to push them out of governance and bringing them introducing democracy. Now, having introduced democracy, what do we do? Do we now prescribe the body because we achieve our aims?
Yes,
the answer is no.
No, that takes me to the next line of questions. Yes, we know. During the military era, we know even ASU happens to have been one of the bodies that came into existence during that time. And right now, the different bodies are still very much championing the cause of fighting for the justice of the Nigerian people and the different labor organizations. But let's look at this point. Yes, we are in democracy. And democracy, as we all know, is supposed to has a pattern that it should follow through. Now, in a situation where the ball or the table turns around, and those who are found wanting to not adhere to the rule of law happens to be the government itself, how does civil liberty organization ensure that government also, adhere to the rule of law? Because let me draw your attention now to the present scenario. Now, you recall that ASU went to court, was dragged to the court by the federal government, by Chris Ngige, the Minister of Labor, and then shortly after that, the International Industrial Court gave their verdict and ordered ASU to go back to school. That is without the issue that caused the industrial action in the first place being taken care of. And ASU had appealed the case, but their case was thrown out because they had not obeyed the first order of the lower court that was given. We are seeing the same thing play out between the federal government and the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. And the federal government has refused, as was directed by the court, to release him from the custody of the DSS. Now, how, in this particular practical situation, how will civil liberty organization work to ensure that the rights of Nnamdi Kanu as a Nigerian citizen, first and foremost, is not infringed upon as it is currently being done by the federal government?
Francis, I have said this on several fora, that we are operating a civil rule, not democratic rule. I will explain what I mean by that. The civil rule in our own thinking is where you have the military men, those who are in the military, remove their
military uniforms,
khaki and carry agbada and wear, and become president, become governors, become house members, and the rest. So invariably, you have people who have that military mentality in a civil space. So it becomes difficult for them to adjust their mentality that we are under rule of law. That when we are operating a democratic governance, it is the law that is supreme, not even you as the commander-in-chief of armed forces, because the law establishes your office and spell out what your office, how you should operate, and what you should not do. That is what I want us to understand there. Now, if you have a truly democratic government, the government will understand. Like, let's take for example the British government. You've just seen what happened. Somebody was elected as the prime minister within 44 days. He said, "I cannot perform." He resigns. That is how democracy is. But here you can even have where the National Assembly can even summon the appointee of Mr. President, and they will tell you, "I will not honor such invite." Don't forget that when you have the military administration, it normally affects the parliament. The military will abolish the National Assembly, the parliament. So what is the semblance? What is the image of democracy? Is the National Assembly, is the lawmakers, because this is the only one that gives the people the right to be involved in. In the military government, you still have the executive and the judiciary. You don't have the legislature. So what brings in the legislature is the democratic governance. But today, when the parliament will speak, the executive will tell you they don't obey you. When the judiciary will speak, the executive will tell you we don't obey you. Don't forget that the French philosopher Montesquieu came up with a principle of power separation and says that in order for us to have smooth running of democracy, in order for you to be called a democratic government, there must be independence of these three organs of government. That is the executive, judiciary, and the legislature. So you don't have someone who is in executive being in judiciary, being in legislature. You have independent persons, so that when this one speaks, this one will be independent of this. This one is to do check and balances. This one is to interpret the law. This one is to make this is how it ought to run. But here we have a government, unfortunately, that still believes that we are in the military administration, doesn't want to obey the rule of law. A government a government whose chief law officer, Attorney General of the Federation, went to the Nigerian Bar Conference at Abuja and said that the rule of law can be put aside for national security. Who defines what is called national security? It is only him, the chief officer, that can tell that this particular matter will affect national interest. So what are we saying? The issue of the federal government not obeying court judgment has been part of this administration. Look at the issue of Ezazaki. Look at the issue of Ibrahim Dazuki and Nnamdi Kanu and others. But if this judgment were made in favor of the federal government, they will be the first
to act it out. Like what we've seen within the federal government and ASU.
So that's the point. So we are in a pathetic situation where the government seems to operate as if we are in the military administration. So, and for us, we want to now begin to see that we are having a military government under the guise of
it would be fair.
Civil rule that we are having.
So it would be fair to say that we have a government who does not obey the rule of law.
You have just said it now. That is, look at the story behind. Look at the history. I have mentioned Ezazaki. I have mentioned Ibrahim Dazuki. Let the government fault me, and every other ones. But the moment the judgment favors the federal government, they will be in a haste to enforce it.
All right, so at this point, this is Eyes on Issue on Spectrum TV, and it's very important that the international community is watching what Nigerians and the Nigerian government is doing, a lot of issues have happened in Nigeria. A lot of things have happened on the streets of Nigeria that government has not been held accountable for. And it's about that time that the international community come in and do the needful, because in a situation where we are operating or seem to be operating a democratic government, and the government who should be responsible for leading the way for Nigerians to follow happens to be the same government that is flouting that order. Well, before we call it around, let me come back to you, Otreko Franklin, as a CLO. First, I'd like to commend CLO for the great job that you are doing. And I like the fact that by virtue of being here, a lot of Nigerians, Akwa Ibomites, know that they can walk into any of the CLO. But before we go quickly, do we have CLO offices across the 36 states of the Federation?
Yep, CLO has offices everywhere in the country, and our head office in Lagos and Abuja. We are everywhere. The truth is, it's a voluntary service that we are rendering. So you could go there and talk to people that you meet in the office, make your cases, but you must have a genuine case. Otherwise, like, for example, in my office, you have a lot of petitions files. And then we go to see that this was our business. We just throw it away, and you'll be wondering why CLO is not acting, because they're not based on facts. So it's not that CLO give money to people. No, we don't share money. We fight for human rights, especially for those who are the indigent people. If you, for example, you are a lawmaker, assuming, and your right is taken away, come to CLO. Those lawyers that you would have engaged when you go to their chambers to pay, you can now engage CLO lawyer. They will, of course, those ones are now, they will take you as someone, as their client. But when you come to our office to file a case before us, we look at it. Is this case for the state, for the interest of the state, or your personal interest? If it is your personal interest, we will advise you that this one you need to get a lawyer that you will pay, because you are able to pay a lawyer as a lawmaker, or as someone who has the capacity to pay. But if you are an indigent person that you don't have the resources to handle matters, and your right is taken away, or you are deprived of your right, or you are being detained by the police unlawfully, CLO will come in and fight for your right. When this lady was, the last one, when this lady, Inyebong was
murdered, the Akwa Ibom case that generated global reaction.
CLO, there were several issues of police not being disciplined. CLO went in, and we made sure that we got involved. And finally, I think the justice has been given, because we are following the matter, and we got involved from the day one till the last day when the judgment was issued by the State High Court.
All right. Quickly before I let you go, what would be your advice to Nigerians, to Akwa Ibom people, especially those who have issues of right violations, issues that needs attention for justice to prevail? What would be your advice to them?
Get a lawyer. You can't get a lawyer, because a lawyer's duty is to tell you where your right stops and where your right starts. Get a lawyer. If you can't get a lawyer, you come to us. We advise you and get a lawyer for you, and ensure that we get your right for you. As long as your right is being violated lawfully, not that you just want to make a case because you have enemy that you want to suppress, you want to use CLO to fight. We're not involved in land matters, we're not involved in settlement of debt, we're not involved in family issues where wife and husband and wife has issues. No, we are involved in issues of human rights abuses and unlawful detention, and the rest of it has to do with human rights that is enshrined in our constitution.
All right, thank you very much, Otegon, for coming on Eyes on Issue. We really appreciate the time that we've spent with you. I wish we had a lot more times on our hands to talk, but I'll definitely hope to bring you back on subsequent edition of Eyes on Issue. But before you go, I know that the viewer watching us would want to know, is there a contact line through which people can call CLO to make inquiries and verifications and all of that?
The last time I gave my line out on the radio program, I did not sleep till till the next day, and with calls that comes in are calls asking for help, for money to help and all those stuff. So even when we want to get to, they can get to your studio and drop a message that we can pick it up from you, and contact can be given, because if I give it out on air, I can bet you my office, my line will be booked.
So for that purpose, you can reach us on the studio line on WhatsApp on 0704 541-770 and let us know. And if your complaints are genuine, then we'll forward it to the chairman civil liberty organization in Akwa Ibom State. And of course, for very private conversations, you can reach me on 090-7787-1987. WhatsApp messages only. Let us know what you have. The first line is the studio line. The second is my private WhatsApp line, and I can easily answer or possibly reach back to you immediately. The other might, of course, that is as a way of us serving your needs. It's been an interesting moment being here with you on Eyes on Issues, and of course, the essence of us being here is to ensure that we inform you and let you know what your rights are. Like the chairman of CLR said, the lawyers will tell us where our rights start and where our rights ends. And in as much as that is the truth, the Constitution has also spelled out what our rights and privileges are as Nigerians, as Akwa Ibom people. And of course, we know that we can never run out of issues as long as we keep breathing in this air that God has given unto us. And as long as we have those issues, then Eyes on Issues will be here to ensure that we bring it to you and also bring in competent hands to help educate and enlighten us on how to go about handling those issues in order to avoid problems. My name is Francis, and until I come your way, do enjoy the rest of your day and ensure that you always conduct yourself in line with the constitutions of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Obey the laws and be a law-abiding citizen. God bless you.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian.
From issues on politics,
Hello, Nigeria. I remain committed.
Security.
Education, health,
Lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken
every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Spectrum TV. Broaden.
Messi. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
When it comes to football, the passion is unrivaled and the heat never stops. Be a part of the unending action on Battle of the Fans. With expert analysis, previews and reviews of the biggest games in the biggest leagues, as well as football fan banter that never goes out of style.
To delay the progress of the league, it means you're not capable.
They have done their job. If to be honest, if you look at them, they have done their job.
Join us Wednesdays 5 to 6:30 p.m. Saturdays 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Only on Spectrum Television.
It is Cristiano Ronaldo. What goal! What a finish!
Battle of the Fans. Exclusive to Spectrum TV.
Good health, they say, is something you can't buy. But the decision to live healthy is a choice that you'd have to make. Join health practitioners from diverse health fields as they provide you with vital information to help your day-to-day health decisions on Well-Being, your wellness talk show. Well-Being airs every Monday, 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Spectrum TV.
we will get to say all the time, especially when we get to the first day that leads to the weekend, and of course the last working day as well. Good morning and